Happy Tuesday night, listeners. This is the podcast where we talk life, love, and literature. I'm author Sierra London, and along with my co-host, author Elle Loren, we are Women on Words. So follow the show, please, on Instagram, Twitter, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and, of course, here at Blog Talk Radio. So I want to thank you for being here, and especially tonight's guest, best-selling author Ines Johnson. Ines, are you on the line?
I'm here and so excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. Yay.
Welcome.
Lisa, you're out there?
I'm here.
Awesome.
Ready to go.
All right, ladies, let's have some fun. So, Inez, we're going to start with you. Tell us who you are, what you write, and how long you've been writing.
Hey, everybody. My name's Inez. As I like to say, I write kissing books. I have a number of degrees. I won't tell you exactly how many, but I've probably been in school for as long as most people have been alive. I use all those degrees to write kissing books, and I'm really happy using all of my degrees to write kissing books. So I've been in the author business since the end of 2014. Before that, I worked in media. I was a screenwriter. I did worked at National Geographic doing like the documentaries there, Discovery Channel, and then I did. I worked for the Black Family Channel when I lived in Atlanta, and I did kids media and some primetime stuff. And at some point, I started writing a story that will never see the light of day. Mm-hmm. But I got the bug. I wrote that story, and I just kept going from there. I had another idea from that story and wrote different characters. And eventually some of that world got published, but not the first iteration of that story. So I published my first book at the end of 2014, and I just didn't look back.
Wow. That's amazing. You know, I met you some years ago, and I had no idea that you actually worked in media. Like when I met you, I think I met you and you were talking about screenwriting specifically, but I didn't know that you worked in media. That's just fascinating.
I've been a storyteller in many facets pretty much all my life. I like to, if you ever are in a meet me face to face, we play that like Truth on a Lie game. You're going to know my truth. I grew up in a funk band. My dad was a bass guitar, and so one of my earliest memories is of him. I think he was learning a new song, and he did the bass first, and then the notes of the keyboard, and then the notes of the drum, and then the lyrics. And he explained to us kids how this is storytelling. Music is storytelling, and every instrument, including the voice, has their part to play, and that's just always stuck with me. So when I was doing television, it just made sense to me, visuals and pictures, and everything comes together to tell the story. And the same thing with screenwriting, and now the same thing with novels. You need all of these pieces to come together in order for there to be a cohesive, coherent, enjoyable story.
Wow. Okay,
Wow.
You're dropping knowledge already. First question. Look at that.
That's my dad.
Look, can I pick up or what? Okay. All right. Y'all can thank me later. Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you said the punk band is fascinating. So now this wasn't even on my questions, but are you musically gifted as well?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask me, yes, I can sing. If you ask my daddy, he would politely not necessarily disagree, but not agree as vehemently with me.
Okay.
I've never made any kind of money singing or anything like that. I'm better behind the scenes doing anything that I've ever done.
That's hilarious.
Amazing.
That's like me and my dancing. Like if you ask me, I'm pretty good, but y'all saw me right at the intro. Like I only got a couple of moves.
We will not touch that one, Sierra. So now you said you write Disney. My first book of yours was Pumpkin. I loved her. She was so amazing.
Oh,
Tell us
thank
about
you.
that series.
Oh my goodness. So I'm happily divorced for 10 years now. I don't remember. But when I moved from Atlanta, I live in Virginia now, and I moved to Virginia with me and my 2 small kids, single mom, ready to take Northern Virginia by storm. And we're at a farmer's market, and there's like a local politician was out canvassing, and he was cute. And so she was trying to chat me up to get to vote for him, but I was like, oh, you're cute. And then my son comes up, and he's like, why are you talking to that man? And I was like, oh, Lord. Realizing, okay, I'm truly a single mom right now. What man is going to be interested in me with these 2 little ragamuffins? And so that kind of stuck in my head, kind of, woe is me. And that night, I rewrote the story of what happened that day in my head, and that became the first book in the Cinder Mama series, which was Pumpkin, who has a very precocious son. And a politician becomes really interested in her, but he can't date her because that would not be the best look for him. So Cinderella is a mom, but she still finds a way to get Prince Charming.
Wow.
And I have to tell you, just as a follow-up on that, I have never read, there's a million retellings of Cinderella, but I have never read anything like that. When I read Pumpkin, I was like, oh, my gosh, she is amazing. So
yes.
thank you for sharing that
much.
with us.
Yes.
Thank you for that compliment.
And I'm with you, Lisa. You read a lot of books. Authors are usually prolific readers first. A lot of us are. And I remember reading Pumpkin some years ago, and I'm like, this story is fascinating. It is really fascinating just to see, your skill with the written word. Like, there is no denying, and I've been a fan ever since. And plus, the covers were beautiful in that series.
Yes.
Just absolutely beautiful. And it was so nice to see, women of color on the cover. So, that was, absolutely great series. Now, you have to tell me, because you mentioned you went home and you started writing Pumpkin. How long did it take you to write Pumpkin? And then in general, how long does it take you to craft a story?
I do not remember how long it took me to write Pumpkin. I know I wrote it. I wrote it during NaNoWriMo. So I'm good with a fast draft. So I'm pretty sure I probably finished it, the first draft of it, during NaNoWriMo, and then I just pushed it aside because I inhale paranormal romance. Like, that's my jam. Like, when I come home at night, I grab a paranormal romance novel and I inhale it. The wolf, the alpha, the vampire. She's mine. I love that stuff.
Me too. Me too.
Right? But Pumpkin wasn't like what normally would come out of me. So I just pushed it to the side. So I don't. And at some point, I picked it back up and just started revising it. So I don't remember how long I was actually writing that book. I could find out, but y'all aren't that know, because I always keep a calendar because I like to keep track of my work. So I have a calendar of how long it took me. I just don't remember. But typically when I'm writing a book, I got faster and faster and faster. That very first book, what I call my transition book, because I'm trained as a screenwriter. So the first time that I wrote a book, because if you've ever read a screenplay, which I highly recommend if you're an author, that you take a look at a screenplay. It uses a completely different part of your brain. But a screenplay is action and dialogue, and that's all you get, action and dialogue. So that's how I wrote, and it was a revelation to me when I realized, oh, I can tell they can say what they're thinking. I don't have to try to figure out subtext and make it come out in their actions. They could just freaking say it. That was a revelation. And it took me a while to figure that out. So the first bits of books that I was writing, it took me a while, months, because I was figuring things out. I'm like, I know how to write, but I understood story structure. I understood how to tell a story, but I didn't understand how to write a novel. So I had to learn that. And my first books were learning how to do that. Once I learned how to do that, my pace clicking, but I was hanging around a lot of authors. This was still before back during the time when indie author and self-published was still a dirty word. So I was hanging around a lot of people who thought you wrote a book a year, and that's fast. But I was writing 13 scripts a year as part of my day job. So it took me a minute to understand that I had the permission to write the speed that I'm used to writing. And I got faster. Once I figured out the mechanics of novel writing, I just used the training that I already had, and I could produce a book fairly quickly.
Wow.
4 to 6 weeks fairly quickly.
That is fast.
How quickly I had to produce a script, yeah.
Wow.
So and because I hate comparisonitis. I think comparison is the thief of joy. Hear me when I say I came to this business with training from a different realm that I used to help me in this new lifestyle of writing. So my first draft looked like a script still. There's action and there's dialogue. You're not going to get much description. You're not going to get, like, they're in 4 walls. She's not wearing anything. You don't know what he looks like. If you looked at my first draft, I would have name says, guy says, because I don't name people. I don't name places. I just get it down like it's a script because that's my natural training. And then I can go back, and then I can turn it into a novel. So it's basically like I'm working with a first draft. My first draft is that script, and then I go back and turn it into a novel. And I can write a script very quickly. So then I'm literally just fleshing it out and describing and putting the emotions in there. But the plot is there.
Yes. And I can totally relate to that because I write very similar. Once I start writing, I can start writing a story pretty quickly. Unfortunately, I am a plotter in my head more than paper. So I have to figure it out in my head, and I can sketch it out on paper. It's not a whole lot of detail, but I can write the nuts and bolts of that story, and I have to go back, as you say, and put clothes on the naked people. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. And I love that you use the word permission, that, there's so many constraints and restraints that we put on ourselves looking at other people's process. But as an independent business owner, like, you can run your business how you want to, and you can be open 24 hours a day and, produce as many books as you want to. So I love that you said that, because I'm sure there's somebody out there in Romance Landia that needs to hear that it's okay.
If it takes you a year, it's okay. If it takes you a month, it's okay. You have to. I hear people a lot say, "My book is my baby," and in one instance, I feel like it's okay to say that, because you need to birth that baby, that book baby, however you see fit. Just like you're going to birth your child, however you see fit. But I feel like after the book is birthed, that then it needs to stop being your child. Because then it becomes a product. Once it's out of you, it becomes a product. And that's when I feel like we need to stop saying it's my baby.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And you're right. And kittens have their babies in 5 weeks. So what kind of baby you have, right? Like, they don't all take 9 months. I'm going to stop talking, Lisa. Go ahead.
Girl. And when you said that, my mind went to elephants. And they just stay for a long time. I'm like,
yes. Isn't that amazing?
You're either a cat or an elephant. That's perfection.
Now, you told us that you love paranormal. You eat it, you love it, you breathe it. What is your favorite paranormal character to write? Do you love the shifters, the vampires? Tell us what you love.
So, I do love a wolf, because I like the growling, and I love the fated mates. I love the fated mates trope. Love the fated mates trope. That's my true catnip. If you give me an alien romance where they're stuck together, it's that forced